A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13. I'm Ritwika Gupta. Now, India is fast emerging as a global hub for hardware innovation, and today we are going to put a spotlight on the smart wearables industry. What does it take to build a homegrown consumer tech brand, the dynamics of localization versus globalization, all that and more. I'll be in conversation with Amit Khatri, co-founder of Noise. Thank you so much, Amit, for joining us today yet again on Leaders of Tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Ritwika. Thank you for having me here.
Now, India manufactures over 80% of the wearables sold domestically. As a frontrunner in this transformation, how do you see India's hardware ecosystem evolving over the next 3 to 5 years?
So, Ritwika, I believe India as a country where we are positioned right now, we're gonna be seen as a global powerhouse. I think initial days we were just as an assembling hub, but I think going forward, it's just not assembly. We're gonna be from starting from design, R&D, SMT, assembling, manufacturing, end to end. We're gonna be taking it over. So we see that things coming soon in times. And by the way, you would see a lot of efforts on the localization also over components, which would help and accelerate this journey.
And well, Amit, you have achieved 95% local manufacturing. What were some of the biggest enablers and challenges of moving from import-reliant to made in India at this scale?
Yeah, let me start with challenges. When we started moving manufacturing to India, so the biggest challenge was there was no skilled labor available in the country. I think the transition happened during COVID or maybe just after COVID or something like that, those times. Maybe it's 3 years back now. So, and second part, the skilled labor was not there. Second, transition or the knowledge transfer from the partners were not at all available for us. So I think that made our journey so difficult. And third, there are no component or ecosystem partners here there to support us. So everything had to be imported, and we just need to fix it at our end. But I think what enabled also is first the government policies really helped us to accelerate it, and more importantly at Noise, we invested heavily ourselves on R&D design, so that actually helped for us to maybe take more control of the supply chain and accelerate it. And third, we partnered with a company called Ilgin Electronics for manufacturing, so their strength over manufacturing quality and processes helped us to scale our journey faster.
So Amit, with tariffs and protectionist policies rising globally, how do you view the balance between localization and globalization for a consumer tech brand like Noise?
If you ask me, I don't think localization is any more optional for us. It is because of the geopolitical scenario happening outside. It is super important for every organization to pivot onto that part. But second also, what happens since India is working on innovation, global things, so our captive consumption also helps us to accelerate and put momentum on that part. So, this also helps us to leverage onto the scale and go to the international markets. So that is also second part. And third, if you look into it, Ritvika, if the way India country is shaping up, we will just not gonna be a manufacturing hub, we're gonna be a innovation. So it's just not a country which has got an advantage over assembly cost. It's gonna be a global R&D and design advantage which will take us to the markets.
And with consumer expectations, are rapidly evolving from fitness tracking to sleep and even women's health, how does Noise balance tech sophistication with affordability?
I think Indian consumers are very smart, genuinely aware of what's happening around the globe. So they are value conscious also, and they need best at the right pricing, I would rather say. And by the way, consumers now know what they want. So what drives at Noise is we are very clear what consumer want, and we are developing all products based on that. So I'll give you a very small example where it comes a balance between affordability and cost. affordability and feature, by the way. So when we were wanting to develop a watch, on one side it was like, can we develop 100 sports mode in a watch so that consumer can track? And on the other side, our consumer research, the sales was saying do this. The consumer research was saying here we use 5 sports modes. So we have 40 million user base on our app, and we could see that 60% spend time on walking, 10% on strength training, 10 yoga, 10 cycling, and dancing, like 5-6 sports. So we realized that instead of spending money on developing 100 sports mode, can we focus our energies in making a product which is more specific? Can we have this 5 sports mode, 6 sports mode better and market that? So that's how we balance between function and affordability. And Ritwika, another classic example, when we were working on audio devices, we started talking to consumers. They said, we understand what does a brand mean to us. We understand what does a quality and price mean to us. We want a great quality product at an affordable pricing. We need a great sound. So, that's how we partnered with Bose, which we'll talk maybe later. And we launched a series called Master, where the sound is engineered by Bose, and where consumer says, boss, I know and I can buy a $300 product, but I need something of this at $100 pricing. So that's how consumer pivot us and pushes us to keep things affordable and drive innovation.
So Amit, Noise has expanded to marquee global retailers. What are the biggest insights or surprises you have encountered in these global markets?
First, our belief is always that Indian innovation should be taken to a global market. The consumers, what we have, they really drive us to innovate faster than any other market. And that is what has pushed us to expand to markets. We are in GCC with Virgin retail stores, then we are in Selfridges London, we are in Printop Paris. So we are there across strategic location and strategic outlets where I think it matters to the users. The innovation matter to the users more importantly. So as thesis, we were very clear that we'll not expand ourselves too thin. We'll go to strategic markets where our product matters, and we'll shape ourselves up there. And there are a lot of, I would say, surprises we got from the users. When we work in India as a market, India as a country is 27-28 years old. Consumers are very young, they're very dynamic, they're using products for the first time or the second time. So they're trying to understand the product. But when we go to an international market like these, what I mentioned, the average age of user is like 40 plus. So they are evolved. They are maybe buying products for the first time. So they value more experience than a feature.
Right.
Let's talk about audio. So they want to know that how does a sound frequency behave in high, mid, lows? What is a decibel of noise cancellation in a high frequency, in a mid frequency? How does it work when I'm sitting in an office or in an airplane? So they have very specific needs, and I think that we are trying to learn, adapt to few markets, and then we will learn, make mistakes and win.
So Amit, I read that you have a 5 to 10 times ROI target on global expansion by FY26. What will success look like for Noise outside India?
I'm not sure about 5 to 10x of ROI target. I believe all businesses are meant to be sustainable. It's just not about size and scale. The business need to sustain and generate profits. That is first part. At Noise, if you look into success for us, I don't think we're going to be going into multiple geographies. We're going to be going to few. We will learn there and we'll win over markets. So in crux, if you ask me what does success means, I think any market where we are, and if we are at a sizable player or a meaningful market share, I would rather put it. That will be our success. And maybe that, if not 26, maybe that is 27. But by the way, we're very clear, we just don't want to do or enter a market for the sake of it, or we just don't want to do the box movement. We want to take the Indian innovation, scale, affordability to the international markets. And by the way, our India has a huge captive consumption. At Noise, we are, why international? Because we realize that we are top 5 brands in the world in wearable space. So India has made us learn so much. We have so much of captive consumption. We have so much of cost advantage because of economies of scale, and more importantly, we have so much of R&D leverage due to this. That is the reason we think of going to international markets.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13. In conversation today with Amit Khatri, co-founder of Noise, on the smart wearable industry, India's rapidly manufacturing ecosystem and the trends that will define the next decade of entrepreneurship. And you spoke about Bose earlier. Now with Bose on board as a strategic investor, how do you see that relationship evolving beyond capital?
So first, I think Bose is a marquee name in the space where we are in. They are 60 years old. They've spent billions on R&D. They are well known, very reputed in audio as a space. So we believe they coming in is a first validation to the vision what we have at Noise. Also maybe a testimony to what we are doing is right. That is one part. So it's just not financial capital. Definitely it is there, but it lends a lot of strategic benefit. But before I move to next, I'm going to talk that it also talks about India as a market. You know, companies sitting in US are looking up India as a space that this is a market which gonna grow in the coming decade, and they should not be missing this. Third, I think they are helping us to lend their technology so that we could make devices accessible for the Indian market, which actually means that consumers would accelerate the journey in better audio experiences in India. And I think fourth, we needed somebody to help us go to the international market, and that technology and brand support is definitely helping us out to make a mark in countries like US, UK, Dubai.
And what do you believe will define the next phase of India's consumer tech revolution?
I think, like I said, we are a very young nation. Consumers are testing newer technologies, and they are using devices for second, third, fourth time. So I think they are getting evolved very fast. Now coming time is just not about devices, it's about how devices making a meaningful impact to their lives. Which means they know now that step data is coming to them. They now know that heart rate data is coming to the devices. But how these devices could be personal to them and what these actually mean for them. What does this heart rate mean to them? How are they taking steps as compared to others? What this device can do to become fit, or how this sound could become more contextual to them. So I think AI as a place we are investing a lot so that our devices could become more smarter for the user, and it could become very personalized insights in terms of lifestyle, health, fitness, or communication, productivity, whatever you call it. So I feel it's gonna be hyper personalized in the coming time, and any brand who would take over this space of personalization would lead the market. And at Noise we are investing heavily over this. So which means coming years or months, not gonna be just devices, it's gonna be a personalized ecosystem where devices are just meant for you.
As India becomes a global player, not just in software but also hardware, what advice would you give to founders looking to build deep tech or consumer electronics brands from India?
I think first besides consumer tech, I would rather say for any entrepreneur who is trying to build a brand in India, instead of chasing trends, we should start solving real life problems. If there is a problem you are solving, definitely there are customers there to take on to it. And second, I would rather say instead of winning the world, we should try to focus on a small group, win a small cohort of users, and then expand to larger markets or a bigger market or a bigger consumer cohort. And third, I would always say if you are starting, please keep yourself very small, very frugal, very lean teams, just trying to focus on getting things done and instead of being very perfect. So I would rather say speed over perfection in this case. But onto this, India is a land of opportunities where we are sitting in, growing population, huge growing income where we are sitting at. So, and if you look into it, the center of the pyramid, middle of the pyramid gonna swollen up. So that consumer will be more meaningful, will give more value, will have more attach rate to whatever product, will be more brand loyal also. So I would recommend anyone to focus on real problem and that set of users.
Amit, what does leadership mean to you, and how has your definition evolved over the years?
I think, when you look at how we have, maybe how I have evolved as a user. So what I feel, I think early on I was chasing a dream alone. Now as we grow, I think my bigger, maybe you call it success, or how we have scaled up is, having a dream and making this a mission for the entire team to have everybody on the same page. That has helped maybe drive noise better.
So shifting gears a bit, tell us, how do you assess the current state of India's startup ecosystem? What aspects excite you most about its future?
No, but I think India need more brands. If you look into it, there are many spaces which are yet to be disrupted. If you look into electronics as a space, personal care, home, all are yet to be disrupted. So I think India is a very large market. There are many cohorts of users, so which means one brand cannot serve to all. It is a very fragmented market, so there are going to be many brands which are needed and which will be scaled. So huge opportunity, and if you look into it, there is a good capital inflow also happening in the Indian startup ecosystem. So good time we are in, good market scenario, good public markets, brands are growing. Now I think at times when we started, there were no brands of 100 crores. I think now it takes 6 to 8 months for any company. I see many companies who have touched 100 crore revenue. So good time for startups to in our nation, actually, I would rather say.
So in your view, what key trends will shape the next decade of entrepreneurship in India?
What I feel that every entrepreneur need to now solve a specific problem. I don't think we are in an era where we would just launch any product or a solution and it will solve. It need to marry to a specific cohort or a specific problem, and then you build on it, you will be able to do. And like I said, next decade would be there, and I think a lot of evolution is happening on the tech side. So I too personally feel all devices gonna become smarter. So every device, be it computer, be it mouse, be it any devices we use at home, be it, and any electronics, all devices would transition to a smarter devices.
Amit, tell us, how important have mentorship and networks been in your own journey, and what role do you think they play in enabling entrepreneurs to scale?
Networking is super important. When you're doing it for the first time, embarking a journey, and somebody who has done for the third time or a fourth time, that is definitely for any entrepreneur to learn, and also it's all about speed and time to execute. So if any entrepreneur who is watching or a gonna be entrepreneur watching this event, I highly recommend go to select events which happens in the country, surround yourself to network of entrepreneurs. They will help your journey fast enough. Otherwise, maybe what you take a year to do would happen in 4 months, 5 months. So learning is key. And at this scale also, by the way, at company of our size, we also keep learning and keep surrounding ourselves with entrepreneurs who have solved problems way before than us.
Finally, our theme this season is agility, ambition, ascent. How do these three words resonate with you personally and with Noise's journey?
Agility, though, I think it's all about taking quick decisions. There is nothing wrong in life. In today's scenario, you can't sit over a decision for 7 days, 10 days, 15 days or hours or whatever it means, agility for anyone. It's about failing fast. If you see anything going wrong, move on in life. It's not about regretting. Any product you want to launch, do your enough work, do a quick MVP, do a test trial, move on. It's not about, see, like, in agility, I'll tell you, in old times, it was all offline market. So product idea to maybe launch was year, 12 months. Now, if you have an idea, you could do an MVP in 3 months, test the market and see the product fitment. So agility becomes key for every company to shape up and stay relevant. And second, ambition. Obviously, I personally believe that everybody need to be ambitious, and you need to think way larger what you could think of. When we started again, we never thought we will reach where we are, and so you need to think larger. When we started, we stood nowhere in terms of ranking in the world. When somebody said me ki you are top 5 brands in the world, have you ever thought that? We never thought of it. So think way larger what you could do, and it will happen.
Well, thank you, Amit, for a great discussion and for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you so much, Ritwika. Thank you for having me here.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.